Speaker. Chris opened his speech by saying that all debates last for similar amounts of times and some end quicker than others. That's true. Some also feel substantially longer than others, and Chris has certainly felt longer than 7 minutes. I have 3 points of rebuttal. Firstly, can people make a rational choice about their own body? Secondly, how can we best tailor a solution to the problem to which, quite frankly, the opposition have had fundamentally inconsistent positions on that problem? And thirdly, how do we minimise the harm in the current system, particularly with regards to black market and families, but also I'm going to deal with the rich person's argument that Chris dealt with in the last 38 seconds of his speech. So firstly, can people make a rational choice? I thought Steve would like that. Can people make a rational choice about their own body? What we heard from Toshi at the start of his speech, effectively, was that poor people are fundamentally irrational about the decisions they make for their own purposes. What we heard was that people, because of the situation that they are in, cannot make the decision to give up part of their body or part of their own labour in order to get a benefit because those people are in a fundamentally economic distressing position. The problem with that argument is that people effectively would ban things like strippers and prostitution or coal miners, people with very dangerous positions, because they can't make the decision to work in those areas. Firstly, we don't think that's a viable position to take. Secondly, though, we think the reason why that sort of argument fails is because individuals should always be given the maximum amount of liberty to make decisions for their own purposes. That a poor person, as much as I'm pretty sure no one on the op or quite frankly the gov bench would understand with a poor person's position in the debate, they're the ones who know what they will benefit in that scenario. They're the only ones who can understand the benefit, no thank you, the benefit that they will receive. But moreover, what we heard from Toshi was, well actually, moreover, because poor people are effectively not knowledgeable of the issues, they don't think it through, like, the familial issues right now. No one gives up an organ at a click of a finger. People think about this issue, and we accept that there are harms. That's why we have a system that deals with those harms. That's why we have a system where doctors will talk to you, as quite frankly is opposed to an opt-out system which presumes consent without any information being given to the individual, which we have a problem with in and of itself. Yeah. But finally what we heard from Chris in his material is that compensation fundamentally clouds rationality. That people can't make a rational decision in an incredibly emotive context. We think, firstly, people are always trusted to make decisions in emotive context. Governments don't second-guess consent unless there are incredibly difficult decisions being made, and they almost always err on the side of the individual, because Chris is right. We do make decisions on a class-based system. We do make broad, sweeping decisions by government on people's ability to do things, and that is always erring on the side of choice. What we didn't hear a response from the opposition, which Logan spoke about, was why people should be able to use their body for benefit for themselves. Why individuals should be able to sell a kidney if it means they can go to college. They should be able to sell an eye if it means they can get startup capital to start a business. That those things are just like someone going into a dangerous job and getting paid lots of money for that dangerous job. We think that dangerous job means that they should be able to always be considered, no thank you, to make that decision. But what's even worse about this whole argument is the opposition stands for an opt-out system. They stand for a system of people who are less educated and more poor, who don't know the criteria of the system and don't know how to opt out, will just have a presumption that the state will just take their organs and do it without ever asking them, without ever informing them. Because the decision and the argument that you have is that people are poor, therefore they equal dumb. Under that kind of rationale, you remove their organs without ever giving them proper information. Secondly, I'll take you in a second, sir, we're going to deal with how you best tailor a solution to the problem. Yes, Toshi?
You said people can't consent to opting out because they don't have the knowledge. Well, how could it not even register for opting out? Then how could these people possibly calculate what kind of risk they have on their organs and how will they damage their lives in the future?
What I'm saying, Toshi, is if we accept the rationality of the opposition, that people aren't intelligent enough to make that decision. Your case is far worse because you don't get anything in return. You're not given the information of a doctor. You're not given all that stuff that you get under the proposition's case. But even then, we reject that rationality. So secondly, how do you best tailor a solution to the problem? We had a couple of responses from Chris in his speech about quality and about quantity. On quantity, what we heard from that side is there are all sorts of mechanisms to respond. In the countries that have an opt-out system, we have no problems, or in fact they haven't really been tested out at all. Well, Singapore and Spain are countries that are substantial in size and still have significant waiting lists for things like livers, for things like parts of pancreases and parts of kidneys. We think those people still have the problems associated. But moreover, the reason why we said there was a concern, why you needed more organs, was things like better matches, the ability to assist with regards to rejection. Because the problem even with an opt-out system is you get organs from people who are incredibly old, who are dead or dying or in the process of dying. Those organs are 60 or 70 years old. There's a natural endpoint to a part of an organ. There's a natural point where the body will just stop working with the liver or kidneys. People will get a transplant and 10 years later need another transplant. What you can get is someone who's 21 who'll give you a kidney, and that kidney will last for longer. It's like buying a new car as opposed to buying a used car. That's probably not the best analogy, but we think it's a good enough analogy. Finally, on this point very quickly about undermining donations, we think firstly, there are still organs that you can't donate under our model, so you'll still have a level of donation at the end. But secondly, for most of those organs, there can still be donation at the point of death. So we still think there is some level of donation. Very quickly on to the third point about the minimising the harms in the system. I want to talk about what Chris spoke about. I'm going to give him 30 seconds for the 30 seconds he gave us for this point. So, rich people opting out of the system. Firstly, rich people live incredibly good lives and they live in fantastic healthcare lives because they're able to afford it under any scenario and under any circumstance. So firstly, there's already inequity in the health system and there will continue to be inequity. Secondly, there's often really perverse incentives by rich people now to buy organs. All you have to look at is an Australian mogul called Kerry Packer who basically bought the kidney of his helicopter driver. That is always going to occur and people will always use it. We prefer it's regulated and out in the open. We don't think it undermines public health when people are still able to access this system through a regulated system of checks and balances. And if you want to take a loan, then take a loan. And if you want to sell a kidney in order to get a liver, do those things. We always allow individuals' choice in this system. That's what the government stands for. We proudly beg to propose.